My uncle asked if I could spot him $5,000 to save his business. I gave him $8,000. A week later, I saw him on Facebook popping bottles at a Vegas pool party, hashtagging #unemployed not unenjoyed. When I asked where my money was, he said, "Bro, that was a gift." Right. Now my mom's crying, saying I've torn the family apart. And my grandmother just took him off her will and put me on the hook for everything he owes. I'm 31 years old, living just outside Dayton, Ohio. Pretty average guy. I work a boring but stable job in logistics. I live alone. I drive a used Ford Escape. I don't go on vacations. I don't buy expensive stuff. I save. It's what I was raised to do: scrape by, save what you can, and stay out of trouble. My family wasn't rich. Hell, growing up we were basically broke. But we were close. Holidays at Grandma's house, birthday dinners at cheap buffets, 4th of July in the backyard with sparklers and cheap burgers. We made it work. One person who never really made it work was my Uncle Dean. Dean is my mom's younger brother. He's 45, but mentally? Probably 18 tops. He's the kind of guy who always had some big plan that was going to make him rich. One year it was selling fake designer sneakers out of his trunk. Then it was flipping houses with no money down. After that it was Bitcoin, then NFTs, then consulting for influencers. Nothing stuck. Nothing ever does. 6 months ago, Dean called me out of nowhere. I hadn't talked to him in maybe a year. He sounded desperate. Voice cracking. He said he was about to lose everything: his business, his apartment, his car. He said he just needed $5,000 to cover some business expenses until a big contract he was waiting on came through. I didn't say yes right away. I told him I needed to think. Honestly, my first instinct was to hang up and block him. But then my mom called. She cried on the phone, telling me how Dean had really changed. How he was trying so hard to be better. How he just needed a little help from family. I caved. Like an idiot. I didn't just give him the $5,000 he asked for. I sent him $8,000. I figured give him a cushion, so he's not right back on the edge in 2 weeks. I sent it through a wire transfer straight to his account. I still have the receipt. The first few days after that, he sent a few texts saying, "Thank you, bro, you saved my life." And, "I'll pay you back before you know it." I didn't hear from him again after that. Until about a week later. I was on Facebook, just killing time after work, when I saw a post pop up from a girl I vaguely knew from high school. She was in Vegas for a bachelorette party. She posted a bunch of pics at some fancy pool party. And there, clear as day, was Dean. No shirt, some giant fake-looking gold chain around his neck, sunglasses on, throwing a bottle of champagne in the air. Grinning like a damn clown. In the background, cabanas, bottles, half-naked girls everywhere. The caption under the photo? #unemployed not unenjoyed, bottle with popping corks, smiling face with sunglasses. My stomach dropped. I stared at that photo like it was a car crash I couldn't look away from. I kept scrolling. More pics. More videos. There was Dean, flexing for the camera. There was Dean, pouring liquor into some girl's mouth. There was Dean, holding up a middle finger with "no regrets" spelled wrong on his arm in temporary tattoo ink. I thought maybe it was old photos. Maybe he was just reposting memories. Nope. The timestamp was from that morning. While I was sitting at my desk answering angry emails from customers, he was blowing thousands of dollars at a Vegas pool party. With NY money. I snapped. I texted him immediately. Me. Hey. Where's the money I sent you? Dean. Bro, chill. That was a gift. Right. I swear to God I thought my heart was going to stop. Me. No. It wasn't a gift. It was to save your business. What are you doing? He sent back 3 laughing emojis. Then said, "Oh no, you need to relax, bro, life's short. Don't be mad. I didn't respond. I physically couldn't. I was shaking too bad. Instead, I called my mom. She answered on the second ring, already sounding stressed. Mom, do you know where Dean is right now? She hesitated. No. Why? Is everything okay? He's in Vegas. Partying. With NY money. She didn't even argue. She just started crying. She called Dean. He refused to pick up. Blocked her number. Then he started posting on Instagram, bragging about cutting off toxic people and living life on his own terms. My mom blamed herself. She kept saying over and over, I just wanted to believe he could change. I just wanted to believe. Meanwhile, my grandmother found out. And Grandma? She doesn't play games. Grandma is 82 years old. Widowed. Tough as nails. Still drives herself to church every Sunday. Still pays her bills by mail because she doesn't trust the internet. Grandma raised 3 kids, my mom, Dean, and my Aunt Cheryl. She's got a modest but decent estate. A house she owns outright, some savings, some investments. Grandma has always said she planned to split everything equally when she passed. Well, not anymore. She called her lawyer the next morning. She had Dean completely cut out of the will. Instead, she left Dean's entire third of the estate to me, with a catch. I have to cover any financial mess he leaves behind for the family out of it. She said, and I quote, If Dean's gonna act like a child, then he doesn't deserve a dime. And you shouldn't be the one who pays for his sins, but I know you will. Since then, it's been absolute hell. Dean is telling everyone who'll listen that I stole his inheritance. That I turned Grandma against him. That I destroyed the family over pocket change. He's posting nonstop about how fake family will stab you in the back for a few bucks. Meanwhile, my mom is caught in the middle. She's heartbroken. She still loves her brother, but she knows he's a lost cause. She keeps crying, saying things like, You two were supposed to look out for each other after I'm gone. My Aunt Cheryl is trying to mediate, which mostly means yelling at everyone and making things worse. And Dean? Dean's still in Vegas. Still posting pictures. Still tagging posts with hashtag living my best life and hashtag no regrets. I check his Instagram every day. I don't know why I torture myself like that. I don't know what the hell happens next. But I know one thing, this family will never be the same again. After a couple of weeks, I thought maybe it would die down. That maybe Dean would burn through the last of his money and just crawl back home, like always. But I was wrong. He started going further. He posted a long rant on Facebook. Tagged half the family. Called me a snake. Said I was stealing from my elders. And brainwashing Grandma because I was jealous of him. Jealous of him. My phone didn't stop buzzing for 3 straight days. Old family friends texting me things like, What's going on? Why would you do that to Dean? Family is supposed to stick together. Meanwhile, Dean slid into my DMs with more garbage. Hope you enjoy the blood money, bro. Hope you sleep good at night. I ignored him. I wanted to say so much. But my mom begged me to stay quiet. She said, Don't sink to his level. Let it blow over. It didn't. Dean got desperate. He started calling Grandma. Leaving nasty voicemails. Telling her she was senile and being manipulated, and signing her life away to a greedy little S***T. Grandma saved every voicemail. She said she wanted proof. Then Dean went way further. One night around 11:30 p.m., I was almost asleep when I heard loud knocking on my door. I looked through the peephole, and there he was. Dean. Wasted out of his mind. Slurring his words. Screaming. Come outside, you little b*********h. Come outside and say it to my face. I didn't open the door. I called the cops. He started pounding on the door with his fists. Then kicking it. screaming that I ruined his life. The cops came fast. Thank God. They pulled him off my porch and cuffed him right there on my front lawn. He was still yelling about fake family and blood money the whole time. He got charged with disorderly conduct and public intoxication. I pressed charges. Grandma backed me up. After that night, my entire extended family split into two camps. Camp 1, me, Grandma, Mom, a few cousins who have been burned by Dean before. Camp 2, Dean, Aunt Cheryl, and a bunch of hanger-on family members who honestly just like drama. Thanksgiving got cancelled. Christmas got cancelled. My mom cries every time a holiday comes around. Dean didn't learn his lesson. He found out he wasn't getting bailed out and flipped his story. He started saying I set him up, that I tricked him into coming over, that I planned the whole thing to make him look bad. It was pathetic. Everyone could see it. Even Aunt Cheryl eventually stopped defending him after she heard the voicemails he left Grandma. But Dean didn't stop. About a month after the arrest, he filed a lawsuit against me. Sued me for defamation, emotional distress, and I swear to God, theft of opportunity. He actually wrote in the complaint that I sabotaged his business prospects and stole an expected inheritance. The lawsuit was a joke. My lawyer laughed when he read it. We filed for dismissal. But it still cost me almost $3,000 in legal fees just to make it go away. Guess who paid for those fees? Grandma did. She wrote me a check. Told me, "You're already paying enough for that boy's mistakes. I'll handle this one." I cried in my car after I left her house that night. Meanwhile, Dean went fully off the rails. He started posting TikToks about toxic families and fake bloodlines. He made up stories about how he was abused growing up. How he was the black sheep because he refused to be a puppet. None of it was true. But he started getting attention. Internet sympathy. Random strangers were sending him money on Cash App and Venmo, thinking he was some poor soul who got kicked out by an evil family. He even set up a GoFundMe titled, "Help Me Rebuild After Family Betrayal." He raised almost $5,200 from strangers in 2 weeks. And what did he do with it? Went to Miami. More bottle service. More Instagram flexing. I watched it all. Every post felt like another slap in the face. Meanwhile, my mom's health started slipping. Stress made her blood pressure spike. She ended up in the ER twice. Grandma started talking about getting her affairs in order faster than she planned. All because of Dean. And somehow, I'm still the villain in his story. Just when I thought Dean couldn't sink any lower, he found a way. Grandma had a safe in her house. Always has. One of those old metal ones you bolt to the floor. She kept important stuff in there. Her will, some cash for emergencies, jewelry from her mom, a few family keepsakes. One Saturday afternoon, Grandma called me, panicked. "The safe's been tampered with," she said. "Somebody tried to break it open." I drove over immediately. Sure enough, the edges were scratched up, like someone had tried to pry it open with a crowbar or something. Grandma hadn't left the house. She barely left her recliner those days. Whoever did it either had a key or knew where she kept the spare. We called the cops. They took fingerprints. And guess whose fingerprints came up? Dean's. Turns out, the last time Grandma let him inside, months ago, back before the Vegas mess, he must have watched her open the safe. Maybe even handled it himself. He was trying to steal from her. His own mother. When the cops showed up at his scummy little motel room, he wasn't even living anywhere stable anymore. He wasn't even mad. He laughed. According to the report, he said, "It's all mine anyway. She owes me." They arrested him for attempted burglary and elder abuse. This time, there was no Aunt Cheryl rushing to bail him out. No cousins making excuses. Nobody. He spent a week in county jail before scraping together bond money from his GoFundMe pity fund. He walked out of jail still smiling. Still posting TikToks about family snakes. Meanwhile, Grandma changed all her locks. Got a new safe. Installed a full security system. I helped set it up. But the damage was already done. She started talking more and more about dying. Like she didn't want to fight anymore. One night she sat me down and said, "When I go, promise me you'll clean up the mess he leaves behind. Don't let it swallow your soul, too." I promised her. I hated making that promise, but I meant it. A few weeks later, we got more bad news. Grandma's doctor told her she had early signs of heart failure. Stress wasn't helping. The family was falling apart faster than we could patch it. And Dean? Dean doubled down. He filed another lawsuit. This time he sued Grandma for undue influence and financial abuse. He claimed she was being coerced into changing her will under threats and manipulation by me. He claimed I was controlling her, isolating her, and stealing her freedom. It was disgusting. I had to sit through depositions where sleazy lawyers grilled my 82-year-old grandmother about whether she was of sound mind and acting of her own free will. She was humiliated. She cried afterward. She kept saying, "How could he think I'm that stupid? How could he think I'd need someone else to think for me?" The worst part? Under Ohio law, those kinds of claims have to be taken seriously, even when they're baseless. It dragged out for months. Legal bills piled up. My savings drained faster than I ever thought possible. At one point, I thought about just walking away, letting Dean win. But then I'd remember the look on Grandma's face. The betrayal. The heartbreak. I couldn't walk away. So I fought. Hard. And the longer I fought, the uglier Dean got. He started threatening to expose me online. Said he'd make TikToks claiming I beat my grandmother. That I locked her in the house and stole her medicine. He didn't have a shred of proof, because none of it was true. But he didn't care. He just wanted to hurt me. To tear down whatever was left standing. One night I came home from work and found my front door wide open. Somebody had kicked it in. Nothing was stolen. But my living room was trashed. Couch cushions ripped open. Coffee table smashed. Picture frames shattered. Smeared across my living room wall, written in spray paint, were the words, "Blood on your hands." I called the cops. They couldn't prove it was Dean. But we all knew. We all knew. After that, I started carrying a weapon everywhere I went. I installed cameras around my house. I moved Grandma into a senior community with full-time security. Dean didn't stop posting. Didn't stop lying. Didn't stop poisoning everyone who would listen. Even after everything, even after jail, lawsuits, restraining orders, he still believed he was the victim. He still believed he was the one who deserved to be celebrated, not punished. By spring, Grandma's health was failing fast. She had good days and bad days. But the stress from the lawsuits, the break-in, everything Dean dragged her through, it wore her down. Her last good day was in early May. I visited her after work. She was sitting up in bed, sharper than she'd been in weeks. She held my hand and said, "I'm proud of you. You stood up when nobody else did." I told her not to talk like that. She smiled, that same stubborn smile she always had, and said, "You have to be strong now. Stronger than me." She passed away 2 days later. I was holding her hand when she took her last breath. I didn't even have time to grieve properly because Dean showed up at her funeral, wearing sunglasses inside the church, reeking of weed. Loud, sloppy, rude. He made a scene. Told everyone that I killed her by stressing her out. Started shouting in the middle of the service about blood money and betrayal. My cousins had to physically drag him outside. The cops were called again. This time, A judge slapped Dean with a no-contact order against me and the entire family. But it didn't matter. Because the will was ironclad. Dean got nothing. Not one penny. Every account, every investment, every asset was transferred to me. And attached to it? Over $40,000 in legal fees. Most of it from cleaning up Dean's mess. There were debts, too, credit cards Dean had secretly taken out in Grandma's name years ago. More trash I had to pay off. It took me months just to get through the paperwork. It took everything I had just to stay above water. Meanwhile, Dean? He spiraled. Hard. First, he lost his GoFundMe grift when someone reported him for fraud. Then he got arrested again for DUI, crashed a rented car into a mailbox outside a retirement home. Lost his license. Lost whatever little sympathy he still had online. No more TikToks. No more Instagram flexing. His accounts dried up. He disappeared off the map for a while. Until last month. I was pulling into the grocery store when I saw him. Dean. Standing in the parking lot, holding a cardboard sign. Homeless. Anything helps. God bless. I parked at the far end of the lot and just watched him. For a long time. He didn't see me. He looked old. Broken. Like all the years of scheming and lying had finally eaten him alive. A few people dropped a few bucks into his cup. Most ignored him. He just stood there, swaying in the heat, a shadow of the man who once popped bottles in Vegas and laughed at me for being too uptight. I didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel proud. I didn't feel anything. I just drove away. A week later, I got a letter from the county court. Dean had been picked up again. This time for vagrancy and public intoxication. No bail. And this time? No one was coming for him. Not Aunt Cheryl. Not my mom. Not even strangers online. He finally ran out of people to fool. As for me? I still live in the same small house. Still drive the same beat-up Ford. Still work the same boring job. The money Grandma left behind, what was left after paying off Dean's disasters, sits in a savings account. I don't touch it. Not yet. I'm thinking about using it to open a scholarship in her name. Something small. Something for kids from families like ours who never had much, but who still believe in doing the right thing, even when it hurts. Because that's the real legacy she left me. Not the money. Not the house. Not the debt. The courage to stand up. Even when everyone else runs away. Even when doing the right thing feels like it costs you everything. Because at the end of the day, Dean lost everything. And I still have my soul.